Okay, I have 4 o'clock, so I'm going to get started. Welcome to our digital literacy workshop for this week. We're going to be talking about setting up folders in Google Drive. And as you, let's see, let me get going over here. Can everybody see our screen over here? It says collaborative notes. Okay, ready to go then. Okay, so earlier I emailed you a Google Doc that contains all the links and resources that we're going to use during this session. And if you ask questions and I think of other things, I'll add them on there as well. And down at the bottom of that list of notes, I'm going to move that over here for a second, you'll see that if you want to, way down here at the bottom, you can add questions, thoughts, ideas that I can then respond to later on. So that's those notes. I also put those notes in the chat window. At the very top, there's a super long link that links off to those collaborative notes. Okay. And if you didn't get the link, I'll send it again after we finish here. But you should be able to grab the link in the chat window too. Okay. So just some of you were here last week, but not everybody, so I'll go quickly over the basics of just GoToMeeting. As some of you heard before I turned on record, it's best to have everybody muted. And if you need to ask a question, if you let me know in the chat window, I can open just you up. But when everybody's opened up and it sounds like a wonderful idea to have a conversation, we just hear a lot of background noise. And as Kim said, it sounded like I was in a tunnel. And I don't want to be in a tunnel, so let's do that. At the end of this session, I'm going to share a form with you with a reflection form that you need to fill out in order to get clock hours. I also, just for easiness, I sent that in the link the email that I sent to you, and it is also in this shared document. At the very bottom it says reflection form. I went ahead this time, I'm learning every week, hopefully it'll get better. I went ahead and I pre-populated the in-service title and the in-service number and the date for you, just to make it a little bit easier, and those are the things you might miss during a meeting. Okay, our learning targets for this session, I'm super quick going to remind you how to reset your password and get started with Google Docs. Hopefully everybody's done that already, but I just wanted to make sure that you weren't lost because you didn't have that part. And then we're going to talk a little bit about sharing, creating and sharing folders. I'm trying to keep things small, but this is still a pretty big topic. The main thing I think to remember when you're thinking about this is if we start organized, this is going to work a lot better for us. And this is coming from somebody who's not very organized at all. And so this idea of setting up a system when you're just getting started is what we're trying to go with here. So I'm going to give you some ideas, and then hopefully you can jump on that and think about your organization style and what would work best for you. So that is our target. So we're going to work on the shared folders and then just the protocol of naming documents and folders. Okay, so just very quickly, if you haven't already, and there's been several emails that have come out, in order to get our Google Apps for Education to work, you need to first reset your password on a network computer. And to do that, you do Control-Alt-Delete, click Change a Password, type in your new password, which can actually be your old password, but you have to type it 3 times, and then you can go to any kind of Google thing. So you can go to drive.google.com, or you can go to just google.com and then click Sign In. I'm getting ahead of myself. Sign in, and then you'll sign in with your your network login, and then at mbsd320.org, and your district password. For students, same thing. They need to reset their password, and then they'll sign in with their network login, and then their address is students.mbsd320.org, and then their district password. So it should say there. Sounds like the town is burning up, but I'm not sure what's going on. So I will ask those of you who are in this meeting, if you've got a neighbor next door in a classroom who doesn't know how to do this yet, if you could talk them through that, that'd be great, because there's a lot of stuff being shared where you need to be able to open up Google Docs. So that'd be great if you could just spread the word. Okay, so with this whole idea that Google Docs is a great place for collaboration, we're starting with folders and we're going to think about sharing. So we're going to be in our Google Drive, so I'm going to come over here for just a minute. Okay, and sounds like the world is coming to an end outside. So I'm going to go to Google Drive here, and you'll notice up at the top when I'm logged into Google, I have all of these things at the top, and one of them is my Drive. So that's where I am now, is in Google Drive. You don't need me to unmute you, Greg. Sorry, the world was coming to an end. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you how to do is we're going to talk about naming protocols. So it's really, as you get going, if your students, just like they know how to put a heading on a paper, if they know how they're supposed to label their documents that they're sharing with you, that's going to make your life so much easier when you're organizing things and sharing things. So that's a big thing right there. So I'm going to jump back over here. See that stuff going on? That here. So the naming protocol. This you can think of for yourself. Maybe your team would want to all do it the same way, so you can talk amongst your team. And it would be different for elementary school as opposed to high school probably, or if you're a specialist as opposed to a classroom teacher. So an example of something that might work is class name, like social studies, and you might say social studies 7 or 8 if it's a middle school. And then the student's last name, first initial, and then whatever the title is of the thing that they're working on. So if it's a presentation or a document, anything like that. So when they create something, they know that that's the way that they are going to label it. So they can find it easier and you can find it easier. And then, so what that would look like for a student. So I'm a student over here, and I'm going to create a document. Okay, and the first thing I do when I'm creating a document is I'm going to go up to where it says Untitled Document, and I'm going to name my document. So let's see, this is for science class. So I'm going to call it Science, and then my last name, first initial, and then whatever the assignment is. So maybe it's a cell diagram, which I probably wouldn't use a doc. I'd probably use drawing, but anyway. So here's my cell diagram. Okay. And so I've got that all set up just for funsies since I did that. Let's see. I'm using the research tool to see if I can find out anything about cell diagrams. Here's all kinds of information over here. I'm going to pull in one of these into my documents just for fun. So now I have a document that has a cell diagram in it. And if I needed to share that with my teacher, obviously this would be a silly thing to share with my teacher because I didn't create it. But anyway, if I needed to share this with my teacher, this is what I would do. I would click on share, and then I would click on my teacher's name. So in this case, I'm going to click on my teacher's name here, which is me. Now, when I am a student and I'm sharing with the teacher, I always want to make sure that that teacher has editing rights. So you train your students to always share with their teacher with editing rights. Okay? Now, if you are a teacher, you probably don't want to get 30 emails or 80 emails from students saying that they've shared a document with you. So you can click the uncheck the notify people, and it will just end up in your drive without you having to get an email. Okay, and then it's going to warn me that I'm not sending an invitation, and I went through why I wanted to do that. So I've sent this document to my teacher. Okay, now I'm looking over here at a question. It says, will the teacher email be both our MBSD 320 and our MBK12 while like yours showed up? So from what I understand, the one that works, the one that's connected to our Google Apps for Education account is the mbsd320.org. So that would be the one to use if you want to share to another Google Drive, is that mbsd320.org. Okay, so I'm going to hit done. So here I am on the student end. I hope I get through this today. I've got so much to do. Now I'm going to pop back over to the teacher. Maybe. Popping back over to the teacher here. Teacher. Okay. Okay, so now I'm in the teachers. And obviously you wouldn't have a student account and a teacher account. I'm just sharing with you. So I'm a teacher, and I want to see what has been shared with me. So I'm in my Google Drive, and I click shared with me, and there's this cell diagram right here. Okay, now you'll also see that it asks me if I want to add these to my drive. So if I click on this, it's going to ask me right there. So I want this on my drive as well. It can stay right here for right now, but I want to add it to my drive so you can see what I'm going to do as a teacher. Okay, so now I'm in here as a teacher, and I have this student work right here. And if all of my students were doing it, I would have a lot of student work right here. So I'm going to want to create a folder to put all of those things in. So if I go up here to the top, I can click New Folder, and I'm going to call this folder Science. Okay, and then I can click on my student thing here, and I'm going to move that into my Science folder. So move it into the Science folder. So now, when I click on here, I would have all of my student stuff in the Science folder. So that's kind of cool, but it gets even cooler than that. So I'm going to show you an example with something else I can do. If I'm the teacher and I've got things I want to share with my students, so I'm going to move over to, I'm going to create another folder, another Science folder. Go back here. So I've got my Science folder, and I want to have a couple of different things happening. I want my students to turn in work, but I also want to share with them. Maybe I've got some kind of a graphic organizer or something I want them to use. So I'm going to create another folder, and I want this folder to be Science, Resources, and Assignments. Now, thinking ahead, I want this to be something that's easy for my students to to find. So I'm going to put my name at the front of it. Okay, so this is Mrs. Thornburg's Science Resources and Assignments. And I'm going to click Create. And now I have this folder. But here's the cool thing that I can do with this folder. So I'm going to go back over here. Here's my science folder, and if I go down here, here's my science, here's my resources. I can click on that, click on the little arrow beside it, and click Share. And then I can add the names of my students who I want to share that folder with. So right now we don't have lists of our students in Google Docs, but eventually the tech team is creating lists for you. So you'll have, you know, period 1 science class or whatever. But since they don't, I'm just going to use, I'm just going to type in my one student's name. So there's my one student. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share this with you. So I did create a group for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to share this with everybody in this group. And the name of the folder is Science Assignments. Okay, so now all of you currently, because I forgot to do this one important part, currently all of you, and I didn't have Patricia's email right, so she's got the old email address. But everybody else has editing rights, and I'm going to change that to view. So if you are a student, I want you to be able to view these files, but I don't want you to be able to change them. And I could have done this all at once, but I just didn't do it. Okay, so you're a student. You can view the files. I'm going to hit Save. And I'm going to hit Done. Now, what I can do is I can, when I'm working on an assignment and I see, oh, I want to share this graphic organizer with all of my students in that class. So what I can do is I can just take that file. I got to, that's not what I do. I can take that graphic organizer and I can go to my science, and I can go to this shared folder right here, and I can just drag it right in there. And now, whoa, and now, stop. And now everybody in this group has my Cornell notes. So anybody in this group has that Cornell Notes template in the folder called Thornburg Science Resources and Assignments. So that's the easiest way for a teacher to share assignments with their students. That way you don't have to continue to change the permissions each time. All you have to do is drag and drop into the folder anything you want your students to see. And I'm out of time, so I want to share one more thing with you, and then I'm going to, but be thinking of any questions and put them in the notes right now. I'm out of time, but I wanted to share something really cool with you. This right here, which I also have under resources in the, let me go right here. Hello. Which I also have under resources in the shared notes. This is a wonderful set of resources walking you through different steps of creating a resource folder, sharing the files, creating a turn-in folder, all of these things here, and they're all like 5-minute videos. And so since I'm out of time in 20 minutes, if you want to more clarification, you can jump in over here and watch these videos. There's the two on the bottom are pretty exciting, but they're also pretty pretty scary for probably most of you. I'm really excited about them, but because they involve using a script and all of that. We'll get there later. Don't worry about those. But the ones on the top that just have to do with making a class resource folder and how students share and how students would turn work back into to the teacher. Those would be what I would work with. The other thing that is important just to remember for all of this is that whole idea of starting off with a naming protocol. So it's easy for you to find the files. It's easy for your students to find the files. You have to remember that Google is all about search. So it's pretty easy to search for something. And so if you've got an assignment name like MLK presentation and you search for that, all of your MLK presentations are going to show up right there. And then there you've got them, and then you can move them into a folder. So that's a pretty exciting piece to have. I know we need more, and I would love to see your questions in the either on the shared document or in the chat window, and I will continue to create lessons and learn what we can actually get done in 20 minutes. Okay, so the next workshop that I have scheduled is a collaborating with Google Docs, and that's just going to be setting up a Google Doc and figuring out who to share it with and how to share and working on a document together. So that's next week. Hopefully that'll be a small enough chunk that we can get it, but play with the folders idea this week, and then next week we can, if you have any questions about that, we can start off with questions about that. Does anybody have any questions? Is anybody still here? Kim, I should have yours, but I'll check and make sure that it's actually working. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I'm glad you're still here. Absorbing. There is a lot to absorb. I'm still learning how to package this in 20 minutes, so hopefully I'll get better at this as the weeks go by. And please, your questions will help me package it better. So, you know, think outside. And the question was, would you use this over Dropbox? And the answer is definitely in our district. Dropbox is kind of a dirty word with our tech department, and they're all for using Google Drives. So, and yes, you can load any kind of files into your Google Drive. So, and another good question about protocols that I said, it would really be nice if our whole district was using the same protocol, but the problem with that is I can't get everybody to read my emails, and I can't get everybody to come to the sessions, so we have to start small and push out. But yes, if you can connect with other people who may be using this, like your library media specialist, if you're a middle school or high school teacher, the other teachers who your students would be working with, it'd be great if you had one naming protocol that you all used and that teachers used to name their folders they shared with the students, students used to name their work and their folders they shared with the teachers. And another question about moving away from the district folders, the company answer is that we still need our drives, our home drive and all this kind of stuff. That's what tech will tell you. I will say that the really nice thing about Google Drive is that students can access their work from anywhere, and teachers can access their work from anywhere. So my preference is I would lean towards using Google Drive. It's easier to share between teacher and student, and it's accessible outside of our district. But our tech team is a little bit afraid of us clicking on everything, saving everything in the cloud. So I'm just sharing that with you. Okay, and one more question I see here. There's a question about downloading your drive to your PC. Our tech department is actually going to push that out to everybody's desktop. And what that is it's a folder that can sit on your desktop, where if you drag things that you're working on your desktop into that folder, they get saved in your Google Drive. You can completely work with Google Drive without having that desktop folder, but this will be something that makes it a lot easier for some people. So that's what that is. But you can completely use it without downloading anything, and Tech is planning on pushing that out for everybody in case you do want to use it. Okay, I'm looking for questions. Okay, I think, any more questions? Okay, a question about confidential information in teachers' Google Drives. The information that is in under our domain is owned by our district, and it is actually probably more secure than on our own network. But we do need to be careful with that because it is out in the cloud, and so that is something to be careful about and think about. Same thing as with sending information over an email. You know, what kind of precautions do you need to use with that? Kids' grades, IEPs. Definitely you can keep kids' grades on here. Just you need to make sure your privacy permissions are going. And IEPs, I would check with special services and just see what they're going to do with that, because it is secure, but the difference is we don't have as much control over it as we do when it's within district. Okay, so and Tracy says uploaded audio, which is exciting. I will be uploading the video of this this webinar, as wonderful as it is, and it will be going on my Google Drive, and I'll send you the link to that. So that's another thing you can do with that. Alrighty, any more questions? I'm going to check a couple of, like Patricia, I need to send you I need to put your right, it's my problem, I just did it wrong. I need to put your right address so you can access that file and see what that looks like. And maybe Kim as well, so I'll check on that. So thanks for attending, and I hope to see you next week. Short and sweet is what I'm going for.